Hello and welcome to a mini episode of Autogefühl on IGTV. On today's show, we're going to be taking a quick look at the DS7 Crossback. Alright, so the DS7 Crossback looks really great. It's got that classic avant-garde design, which of course Citroën used to have before, but now it is more evident here in the DS. I also really like their LED lights. In fact, when you unlock the car, it has a really cool little sequence where the LEDs start spinning and it has a nice dazzling shimmering effect. You get adaptive LED lights with daytime running lights down here. Also a really nice large grille, kind of Audi-esque, but I think it's still nevertheless got its own identity. We have the E-Tense badge here for the plug-in hybrid version. As we move along the side, well, first of all, this is 4.59 meters long, so a pretty decent size for a crossover SUV. Really nice 20-inch wheels with the DS logo in the middle. And overall, you know, one thing I wanted to show you guys right off the bat is check a look at this. So when I close the door, the rear door shimmies a little bit. Do you hear that? So this is where some of the small things are not as good. So the build quality is not as good as some of its other competitors. But nevertheless, even the rear lights are also really nice. LED with cascading turn indicators. I like this texture, this pattern that you see. In fact, you see this pattern throughout the car on the inside as well as on the outside. All right, let's take a look inside. Wow. Well, first of all, again, that design is what grabs your attention. You have that pattern that we saw with the triangles here on the seats, as well as here on the air conditioning vents, and just overall throughout this car. This is also the very sporty variant. This is the DS Performance line. So you get nice soft touch materials here, Alcantara materials along the dash. But let's take a seat inside. Really nice steering wheel with this DS logo, nice chrome accents here. A lot of controls for the instrument cluster, which by the way is also really well animated. But you can already see, for example, right now the mileage says 9.1 liters for 100 kilometers, and this is something which is really important to remember when you have a hybrid car, or if you're planning to buy a hybrid car rather. If you don't have the ability to charge regularly, it does not make sense because of the added weight of the battery pack and the electric motor. If you don't charge the electric battery every day or as often as possible, you're going to have a lot of consumption. So I've been only getting about 9 liters for 100 kilometers, and I haven't been driving very fast anyway. And that's just because I don't have any charging infrastructure in my house. But column mounted paddles for the 8-speed automatic, which honestly is not the best place to place them. And overall as well, the infotainment looks really nice. I like the fact that there are shortcut buttons along the bottom. Really nice switch gear, again with that design. Plenty of storage spaces. A large central cubby down here as well. Nice armrest. But yeah, it just does not have the finesse, and it's not the slickest. So for example, if I go to the playlist that I have with the pen drive and I scroll up and down, you see how it just does not show me any of the titles until I stop scrolling. So it takes a long time to boot up and just generally is not the best. All right, let's take a look in the back seat. It's really easy to get inside. There's plenty of space. I'm 5'8" and this is set to my driving position. I have the large panoramic sunroof, which really lets in a lot of light. This front seat is massaged, or the front two seats have massage function. The rear doesn't, but I still have a way to recline the backrest. And again, look at the way the headrest wiggles a little bit. So not the most solid, but anyway, I have air conditioning vents, central armrest with some cup holders. So you have real exhaust tips on either side, although Of course, on the inside is the real tip and the outside is just a cosmetic casing. Still, I think it looks really nice. We have an automatic tailgate, which you can operate by kicking under the bumper. Now this is fairly spacious, of course. You lose a little bit of volume because underneath here is where you have the electric motor and the batteries. So not the most spacious as compared to its petrol siblings, but nevertheless fairly practical. So powering the DS7 Crossback is a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine with 2 electric motors, one on the front and one on the rear. It can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 6.6 seconds. There is a 13.2 kilowatt hour battery, which gives you about 50 kilometers of electric range only. The engine makes 200 PS or metric horsepower, but the combined output is 300 PS. This is mated to an 8-speed automatic torque converter transmission. Alright, so what's the DS7 Crossback like to drive? Well, there's several different driving modes, one of which is sport mode, so let's start off with that. And this actually brings me to the first point, and that is the DS7 drives really well. Of course, this 1.6 liter turbo 4 petrol engine doesn't necessarily sound too nice. This 8-speed DSG works pretty well, but the paddle shifters are column mounted. But nevertheless, the steering actually has pretty good feedback and pretty good weight, especially in the sport mode. The body control is actually really nice. And because of that regen braking mode, even though it's not a one pedal type of mode, it gives you enough engine braking to be able to modulate your speed. The rear axle with the electric motor also means you have instant torque and a push from the back, which gives you a nice rotational effect as well. So even compared to its sibling, the Opel Grandland X Hybrid 4, I would even say that the DS7 Crossback drives a little bit sportier. Nevertheless, this is a crossover SUV, and its personality is more suited in the hybrid or comfort mode. In the hybrid mode, the car simmers down, it's more quiet, it's more composed. On the Autobahn at higher speeds, it's stable, it's reassuring, it's comfortable, and I think overall it's a very easy car to live with. And some of the things I don't like, for example, are the fact that there is no way to turn on the parking cameras. For example, while the size of this SUV is fairly manageable and it's fairly easy to drive in the city, it's a bit difficult to park in tight park houses. And I would have really liked to be able to turn on the cameras whenever I wanted to, so that I can make sure I don't curb and scratch these gorgeous 20-inch wheels. Then generally as well, the technology is not really my favorite. Even in terms of assistance systems, while the adaptive cruise control works pretty well, the steering wheel assist or the lane keep assist doesn't. It's a bit inconsistent. It works well sometimes, but other times it wants to pull you off the road and you have to wrestle with it. The touchscreen infotainment is also pretty good. I think over the past few weeks since I've been living with this car, I've gotten used to having to control the air conditioning on the touchscreen. It's not terrible, and I still like the fact that there are hot buttons, shortcuts in the bottom, as well as a roller for the volume. So I think I'm okay with this, I can live with this. But overall, the technology as well in that infotainment is not the best. Another area where I feel the DS7 lacks a little bit is in terms of its build quality. So it's not up to the mark as some of its German and Japanese counterparts. For example, when you close the front door, you can even see the rear door shimmy a little bit. And if you turn the volume up when you're listening to music, then you can even hear the panels of the door and the plastic buzzing a little bit. And that's a big turn off to me. But overall, one of the best parts about this SUV, and I think in a way the USP of the DS7 brand, or the DS brand altogether, is its design. It does the design so well. It's a little bit different than all the other SUVs in the market, and they don't mind going the extra mile, taking in that effort to make it look good just for the sake of it. And I really like that. The DS7 Crossback plug-in hybrid costs around 56,000 euros. For that, you're getting a crossover SUV with a unique look and which actually drives fairly well. But you're missing out on the best build quality and the best technology. So, that's my verdict. Let me know what you think. Put it down in the comments below.